Welcome to the Healers Café, conversations on health and healing with Manon Bolliger, a retired and deregistered naturopathic physician with 30 plus years of experience. Here you will discover engaging and informative conversations between experienced healers, covering all aspects of healing, the personal journey, the journey of the practitioner, and the amazing possibilities for our own body and spirit.
So welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Katherine Peloso Smith, and she's a registered holistic nutritionist as well as a spiritual life coach. So welcome. And I have one question to start this whole interview with. What led you to either or both, or what was your attraction to this?
Yes, that's a loaded question.
It always is.
Thank you. Thank you first off for having me. I'm happy to be here. So really it's been a journey, and I want to say like it's ever evolving, and things just kind of keep adding on. And then, I keep on getting exposed to new things, and I'm like, wow, I'd really like to dive more into that. Or I think, I might have a gift in this area that I want to share with people. So I actually, in my past, in my 20s, I graduated with a business degree from the University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada. And I worked in the hospitality industry for about 7 years, in the wine industry. And I was like, this is not my passion. This is not what I was really fueling me. And I ended up actually getting quite sick. And I feel like this happens a lot with people in the health industry, where they have their own sort of experience that enlightens them to a lot of what's going on in the world of health and wellness, and they have their own experience. And for me, it was really just not getting the answers that I wanted and that I was hoping for. So I was diagnosed with IBS. I ended up having, low thyroid function and all of these different things that kind of added up to, now what? What do I do in this situation? And the way that it was left with me was more so just, this is how it is. You can live with it. Take this medication and, carry on with your life. And I just wasn't. I'm a questioner. I'm always questioning, like, what is happening here? And so, I started asking questions and going to different modalities and different practitioners to sort of sleuth out what I really truly believed in my intuition was going to work for me. And I ended up healing from my thyroid issues. I do not have IBS. I have no gastrointestinal issues, and was able to kind of heal myself with the help of some amazing naturopathic doctors and spiritual wellness coaches and things like that got me into wanting to become a nutritionist, because I really found that for me, food was the foundation of my healing journey and my process. And then becoming a registered holistic nutritionist and working with clients for now, it's about 5 years. I have been working closely with them and realizing that yes, there is so much we can do on a physical level, which is fantastic. And when it comes to food, but there's a whole other energetic, spiritual level of our healing. And so I really wanted to tap into that a little bit more and provide extra support to my clients, because I was just always coming up to these barriers, and now it's really opened up the doors for some pretty amazing transformations that I'm able to witness and experience alongside my clients. So that's sort of my journey in a nutshell. And I feel like it's ever evolving, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, very interesting. I mean, I think it's interesting too, whether I talk to physical therapists or people working with nutrition, which is also physical on one level. Obviously, it's biological, and has and feeds us, but that healing usually is bigger than that. it takes more. So are you, would it be okay to sort of explore either through your own journey or a client's journey without names, sort of where, so that people who, you know, are seeing naturopaths, for example, and naturopaths as a training, we don't necessarily have any spiritual like education. It's more our journey or not our journey. And as you probably know, naturopathic physicians have a wide array of modalities they can offer, but everyone is quite unique, right? So in other words, we may call similar stuff, but we treat a person from our own backgrounds with these modalities. And I should just state, I was a naturopathic doctor. I am now deregistered. So in case, for legal reasons, I have to clarify that. But anyway, in principle, you know, that connection to spirituality and that path, how would one know that could be their block?
Yes.
Like, in other words, they have a physician or they have a doctor, they have a practitioner who is not inclined that way, and they're not getting quite the results. Like, so what are the kind of blocks that you've seen, and where does one go, I need to wake up here, there's more going on?
Yes. So for me, it's stepping stones, and I would say not all of my clients, most of them aren't really ready yet for that spiritual chat. So the way that I kind of transition them into thinking that way, or starting to open and broaden their mindset with it, is with mindset. So I always kind of go over, you know, these are the things you can do physically. These are the foods that you can be eating to help support X, Y, and Z. And then I'll start to dabble a little bit in the idea of our mindset and what that can look like, and our limiting belief systems that we can carry, and just our thoughts and beliefs in general, and our subconscious mind, and how that can affect just how we go about our daily lives, and the things that we believe about ourselves, and how that affects our overall wellness, among many other things. But I really hone in on the wellness piece. So, you know, if, for instance, someone believes that, you know, that they're overweight, or that they're never going to achieve their weight loss goals, and they sit in that belief system, many times it can look like, you know, you can do all the right things with calories and exercise and all that kind of stuff. But if you're still truly believing deeply in your belief system that you're never going to achieve that, that is a great barrier to begin with. So looking at our thoughts and our beliefs around that. And then once I'm able to have those types of discussions with my clients, I do a lot of story work. Like, what are your stories around your wellness? What stories do you tell yourself? What, you know, and it doesn't have to just be around wellness, because there's a holistic view around it. So what are your stories around love? What are your stories around your body? What are your stories around money, even like an abundance and things like that too, that I get them to tap into. And then we go from kind of sort of understanding that aspect in the mindset. And then we move into a little bit about, okay, now we also have these energy bodies that, you know, are very closely connected to our physical body, and taking a look at connecting like our chakras with physical ailments that they might be experiencing. And so for me personally, and in my practice, it's very much baby steps. I work with people who have never really opened themselves up to these concepts before, and it's very new. So the transformations and the realizations are quite extreme, because it's so brand new for a lot of them. But then, so we go into the energy bodies and the chakras, and connecting those to what they might be feeling physically, and then doing some work in rebalancing and opening those, and helping them sort of make those connections, and tuning into their intuition to what feels good in their body. Because I mean, we can write out meal plans, we can have special foods, but I truly, truly believe that it's such an individual thing when it comes to our healing and what's going to work for each individual person, and really trying to be able to uncover what that is for you without having someone else tell you what that looks like. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer to that.
Yeah. But so it's kind of like an uncovering process that makes them more likely to do the right things for themselves because they're more connected to themselves.
Yes.
In that sense, right? And then yeah, it made me think too, how are you distinguishing the fine line between mindset, like your mindset, and you don't call it spiritual set, but spirituality? Where does it, how do you see that dance?
Yes, that's yeah, it's hard to sort of distinguish the two. And I think it depends on the person too and what they're open to. So to some people, you know, the more spiritual aspects will be called mindset, even though they don't realize that they might actually be tapping into something a little bit higher than their mind, than themselves, quite yet. So there definitely is that. And I think the intuition is the key. So with the mindset and getting comfortable with your thoughts and tuning into what that looks like through meditations and things like that, that can help you just tune into what you're thinking, what you're feeling. It strengthens that connection to our intuition, which can then bridge that gap into higher states of being and connecting to maybe your higher self, even if they are so willing to go in that direction as well.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, again, it would have to be individual, right? Like there's no, no other way. Yeah. So what has surprised you the most about your practice?
Oh goodness, what is surprised me?
Yeah, like something you may not have expected, that you either had to go through positively or so-called negatively. I know they're always teaching lessons, but nonetheless, they can be challenging. Like as in what did you not know? And
a lot. A lot. Yeah, I think for me, coming into being in the health and wellness industry, there was so many things that I feel, as someone who is not doesn't have a doctorate, let's say, there are a lot of barriers for myself and what I can offer, but it's also been quite a blessing in other other ways that I get to do a lot of other things and offer my services in ways that might be different. So that's been a journey in itself, and kind of navigating that a little bit. Just being an entrepreneur has been something in itself that has been a lot of learning, a lot of new expectations and things like that. But I would say, I mean, my niche has continued to change, and I think when I first started off, I really wanted to work with prenatal, pregnancy, postpartum, and that sort of area. And I do still really love that. I have 2 young boys myself, so I've been there. And I love working with women's health more specifically. But this area of the spiritual side and mindset and looking at, very holistically where we can go with our bodies. And I'm still feeling pulled to that there's more to explore in that area too. So for me, I didn't realize that I would be continuing to learn and explore and add things on, and I'm just feeling like I am very flexible and free flowing with what I'm seeing for clients as well. And it goes it goes beyond just I want a meal plan, right? I want
Right.
this. Maybe it starts off that way, but after working for like a couple months with someone, it really begins to blossom into something much more than that. And yeah, I don't think I ever really expected that, especially the industry as nutritionists and what we're deemed to be able to do and what we should be doing. And that kind of thing. I just feel like it's really blossomed into something quite different.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, and that's in part because of your personality. I mean, allowing, being flexible, open. How much do you think, and this is just a curious point, because I've done a fair amount of marketing myself, um, and and a lot of practitioners don't realize that they're actually entrepreneurs. Manon Bolliger here, and I want to thank you for taking actionable steps towards engaging your healing journey and helping others discover their path by watching, sharing, subscribing, and reviewing these podcasts. Every review and share helps spread the word, these different perspectives and choices and options for healing. And to thank you, I'd like to invite you to sign up to my free 7-sequence email tips on health and healing for everyday life. You can go to healerscafe.com tips. Thanks so much. You know, that's usually the biggest awakening. It's like, oh my goodness, I may be good at what I do, but if nobody knows about it, how do I get the word out? So I have found that a lot of the marketing training I've done has really helped me also hone in to, you know, when you said your what was the word? Did you use avatar, or what did you use as your niche? That's what you used. Yeah. Okay. But how like, how's your dance with marketing? How has been your evolution with that?
Yeah, I would say I am so fortunate to have a business background. So having that foundation was really beneficial when I first started out, because I had an idea as to what that might look like to actually get myself out there, what I needed to do, social media, things like that. It prepared me in some ways, but I'm continuing to explore. I just recently finished an 8-week business accelerator course. Like, I'm constantly learning, because business is changing too. Even from when I was in university many years ago, it's changed quite a bit, and a lot of it is virtual and a lot of it is online, and having to shift with that. And it's almost a full-time job in itself, marketing and social media and all of that. It's quite a dance. And it's wonderful. I mean, I really enjoy it. It actually allows me to have a side sort of creative outlet that I enjoy, and creating my website and things like that. It's quite fun, although time consuming for sure.
Yeah. But you enjoy doing that part. So like with social media and
Yes, yeah, I do. To an extent, I would say I like to engage with followers. I like to share information and share my personal life and things like that too. There's a lot of nitty-gritty things that I one day I would like to send that off to someone else to do for me eventually. But I do. Yeah.
I think that's probably a key, right? Is to, if you enjoy it, then it's easier to do on some level. But it's true that it can be creative, like you know, with the use of Canva and those kind of tools now. It's a little more accessible to the healthpreneur, basically, right? You know, at least you can do something yourself without having to delegate everything, which also becomes extremely costly too. Yeah. So your most of your clients, how do they find you?
That's a great question too. So a lot of them will be through social media, but a lot is from word of mouth, which I really love. So I run a program actually called the Back to Your Body program, and it is all about tuning back in to yourself through mind, body, spirit. And I've just recently launched it in February. We finished it in March, and that was a group program. So I was doing it on like one-on-one for a long time, and then I did it as a group program, and it's just been really great word of mouth. So people who have gone through this program are now really excited about the results that they experienced and are now sharing it with their friends and family. And yeah, it's been really great that way.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, and I think it's like group programs. Is that one of your first ones, or?
That was my first time running it as a group. Yes. Yeah. I was always, wanting to do one-on-one. And then I found people like community. They like to hear other people's experiences. They like to know that they're not alone in this journey too. And it was really great to see. And I want to continue to do more group work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I like doing that myself. That's something that I find rewarding, and I think that is the key. It's community. That's a lot of people are looking for that, not to feel that they're all alone, and then there's just more to share with other people. I think that whole privacy thing is possibly overrated when it comes to there's aspects. I think it's the fear, like what you wouldn't put on social media for future employment might be the same kind of thing you wouldn't want to share in a group, but it's usually not crucial to your health in that sense, to your well-being, like health and well-being, because nobody really cares so much if they're sensitive to wheat or the other one's sensitive to dairy. It's like, who cares?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're tell me a bit more about your group coaching.
Yeah. So the program itself it's 8 weeks. We do a discovery diet plan, which is very similar to an elimination style diet. And although I'm not a fan of structured diets for long periods of time, I find this plan works very well to listen to your body and really find out for yourself what's working and what's not working, without having to do a food sensitivity test, which it can be helpful in some capacities, or, in addition to doing a discovery diet style of plan. But I like people to really get the sense of how their body feels when they consume certain things. So it really starts that journey of intuitive eating. And the goal over the 8 weeks is to create and design your own intuitive lifestyle of living as well. So we take into account lifestyle practices, habits, body movement, stress, digestion, all of these different topics that we go through. And on a broad scale, I just kind of go through all these topics, and each person can sit with the information and figure out what works for them and their lifestyle. So I'm not going to sit there and tell everybody, you have to be working out 30 minutes every day. It's like, these are some recommendations. Try this out, see what works. How does that feel in your body? Are you feeling like you're recovering, or do you feel good when you're eating this food? And we go through that different types of topics throughout the 8 weeks. We also go through energy bodies, and we kind of introduce them to chakras. And by that point, they have a good sense of what foods are not feeling good in their body, if any. Sometimes it doesn't come up, but I would say it's quite rare. Typically, there are some reactions that happen after the reintroduction phase that really open up people's, like, oh my goodness, I had no idea that dairy did not sit well with me, yet I've been eating dairy for years. So things like that are really interesting. And the types of reactions that people are feeling in their body, we connect them to the different chakras as well. And we can kind of dive a little bit deeper into those areas and see, maybe there's some more deeper rooted healing that needs to happen to really set up that specific body system to heal as well.
Can you give an example or something like concrete to follow what you mean by this with the chakras and how that works?
Yes. So I'll use myself as an example too. So for me, with my thyroid, so having a low thyroid function, the thyroid is closely connected to the throat chakra. And diving deeper into the characteristics of throat chakra and what that looks like and when it's unbalanced, there's a lot of feeling of not being able to be fully self-expressed. And that was what I really closely connected to the most. I was feeling like I wasn't able to speak my truth on certain topics. I wasn't able to communicate well. And there were just blockages in my speech and my ability to connect thoughts with words and things along those lines. So I found through doing different activities that really activated my throat chakra, like singing, putting myself into experiences where I was speaking more publicly, even journaling, really starting to get my thoughts out of my brain and onto paper, really, really helped to accelerate, I believe, my healing process in conjunction with other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like supplements and things like that really helped to rebalance my thyroid hormones. So yeah, that's kind of an example that
it's a great example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it sounds like a great program. So you'll be launching that again to your clients, I guess, and probably it's open, right, to the public, or do you do both?
Yeah, it will be open. I am going to launch another one in June. So that will be another 8 weeks that we'll be going through that. I'm planning on doing it 3 times a year. So we'll do like a winter, we'll do like a spring, and then a fall as well. I find people in the summertime are not as open to doing programs and things like that. They're traveling. They're like, I don't want to do any strict diets or anything like that. So kind of working around that a little bit. And it's open to whoever would like to join. It's not specific to just.
Because that's also good from I guess I still am, but it's coming to an end, a masterclass on marketing and for healthcare practitioners. And one of the things about courses too, it's also a wonderful lead to new people that you can then potentially work deeper one-on-one with, because it gives them an opportunity to sort of see how you think, achieve something, so I think a course that gives them something, some insight about whether it's like, in your case, an elimination style diet where they can see what they're sensitive to and connect back to themselves. That's certainly a huge start to then going deeper, and it's a great way to position yourself as well, and it's also much easier to, when people refer, to say, oh, she has this course, then it actually works very well. So congratulations to figure this out.
Thank you. Yeah, I would say, once people are able to feel what's going on and they're noticing their symptoms and they're able to connect, I call it clearing the fog. By doing a discovery diet, you kind of clear out that fog and you can really listen to what your body's telling you at that point, because most of us are just walking around not knowing that we could feel a lot better than how we feel. So by doing that, and then more often than not, by the end of the 8 weeks, people are like, okay, now I want to dive a little bit deeper. Like, why am I having these gut symptoms? Why am I getting these rashes that come out when I consume dairy? And then we can dive a bit deeper and start talking about, plans and things that they can put into place to accelerate or continue on their healing journey as well.
And have you found too that once you've healed the gut, but also healed the person from their interaction with food or their gut interaction, that some of these triggers are just not triggers anymore.
Yes, 100%. I would say, I mean, it's different for everybody. And I think it depends on where the trigger is coming from. So I always say there's two sort of ways of looking at it. One of them, the food is the actual issue, right? We can have a true intolerance or a true sensitivity to something within the food, or we could have an underlying condition or issue that's going on within the gut of some sort, right? And so if that is the case, we can clear up, rebalance the gut microbiome, right? And get things functioning more optimally so that when we do introduce that food, the reaction isn't as great, or they're able to eat it in moderation. It right. Really kind of just depends on the food and the person too. But generally I would say over time, yes, you can reintroduce, you're not going to be experiencing the same symptoms.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the food, but sometimes it's the chemicals in the food.
That's true, exactly.
A whole other story.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, our time's almost coming to completion. Is there any kind of final or last words you want to share with everyone?
I would just love to share that I believe so strongly that healing really does start within. So with you, seeking that help from people who are able to support you and guide you in the right direction, but to really tune in and listen and be able to make that connection to your own body is really beneficial, because nobody knows your body better than you, or your mind or your spirit. And take the information that is going to make the most sense to you and run with that. But at the end of the day, always come back to what you feel truly resonates in your mind, body, and spirit.
Well, thanks very much, Katherine, and good luck with your course and your practice.
Thank you so much, Manon.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café with Manon Bolliger. Continue your healing journey by visiting thehealerscafe.com and her website, and discover how to listen to your body and reboot for optimal health.